950 has finally arrived.
$1.4 million. It is kind of amazing. The 300 bucks that came to the Yukon with.
Tony Beets bet big on a 9,000-ounce gold season with a new $1.4 million toy. But what happened next was an unbelievable icy nightmare that almost crushed his plans and threw him into the heart of a terrible town disaster. Forget easy gold. Tony's crew was instantly fighting frozen metal and terrifyingly close calls just to unload their new beast. Tune in to see if Tony's million-dollar dream thaws out or gets buried under the ice in heartbreak. The million-dollar ice block. It's the start of a new gold mining season in the wild Yukon, and Tony Beets, the Viking legend himself, is not messing around.
But in the past, we were loading the trucks. Would take us 2.5, 3 minutes. Now we'll be loading the things in about a minute. So we're going to get set up to do more and more and more production.
He's got this fire in his eyes, and he tells everyone, this year, we're getting serious. We're going for 9,000 ounces of gold. 9,000 ounces. That's a mountain of gold, a king's ransom. But Tony knows you can't catch a whale with a fishing rod. To hit a target that huge, he says, we need better tools, bigger toys. Next thing you know, this absolutely colossal new machine arrives. It's an excavator, but not just any excavator. It's a 9,500 model, a true monster. This beast cost Tony a staggering $1.4 million. Can you imagine spending that much on one machine? But that's Tony Beets for you. Go big or go home. He's all in, committed to making this season his best ever. This giant digger is supposed to chew through the frozen ground like butter and pile up the pay dirt.
Look what it scoops up. Yeah, I know if you drop this in the back of a rock truck, the guy will know about it. Let me put it there that way. So.
But this is Gold Rush, right? Nothing ever goes easy, especially not in the freezing Yukon. The new excavator shows up on a massive truck and trailer, and the trouble starts almost immediately. It's so cold, like crazy cold, that a super important part on the truck, the coupling that holds the trailer, is frozen solid. Like, it's an actual block of ice. Tony and his crew, including his kids, are all bundled up. But this is a serious problem. They can't unhook the trailer to get the excavator off if the coupling is frozen. So what do? They whip out the tiger torches. These are like giant blow torches that shoot out massive flames. They have to carefully heat up this big metal coupling, trying to melt the ice without damaging anything. It's tricky, and it's taking time, and you can just feel the frustration building. Tony's paid all this money. He's got this amazing new machine just sitting there, and they can't even get it off the truck because of a chunk of ice.
Try that very slowly, Monica.
Once they finally get the coupling thawed out after a tense battle with the torches, the next nightmare begins. Actually getting the 950-ton monster excavator off the trailer. This thing is huge and heavy, and the trailer is high off the ground. It's not like you can just drive it off like a car. The crew is scratching their heads, trying to figure out the safest way to do it. One wrong move and that $1.4 million machine could tip over, get damaged, or even crush someone. It's super dangerous. Teamwork is everything now. They start by trying to add big wooden blocks under the excavator's tracks, trying to build up a ramp bit by bit. Everyone has to be perfectly coordinated. Tony's directing, people are shouting, engines are roaring. It's a slow, careful process. They try to drive it a little, then stop, then add more blocks. But the balance is all wrong. The giant machine groans and creaks. You can see the tension on everyone's faces. This is serious stuff.
Oh, we gotta lift it up. It ain't Morgan.
Could we try swinging this thing, maybe?
Who? Swinging it up?
Swiveling it? I wonder if you got the bass end hanging over off this side, if it might pick that side up.
One slip and it's game over for the new machine before it even digs an ounce of gold. They try a few times, making adjustments, but it's just not working. The excavator is too heavy in the wrong places. Then Tony, or one of his clever crew members, gets an idea. They decide to swing the excavator's cab, the part where the driver sits, all the way around to one side. This shifts the weight, changes the balance of the whole machine. It's a smart move, a bit risky, but they're desperate. They try it, and you can just hold your breath watching. Slowly, carefully, with a lot of noise and a bit of hope, The giant excavator starts to move. And then finally, after what feels like forever, with a big cheer from the crew, the monster machine rumbles off the trailer and onto solid ground. It's a huge victory for Tony and his team. The first big challenge of the season is over. Their $1.4 million gamble is safely on the dirt, ready to be put together. The monster was off the truck, but getting this giant puzzle put together and ready to dig gold would push Tony and his crew to their absolute limits, with danger at every turn. Building the beast, helping a town. Now, just as Tony is getting ready to turn his new monster loose on the gold-rich ground, something terrible happens in the area, in a town called Haynes. It's a place where gold miners have worked for years, but it gets hit by some of the worst weather imaginable. There's record flooding, and then a massive, horrifying landslide. An entire side of a hill just collapses, sending mud, rocks, and trees crashing down, destroying homes. People are missing. It's a true disaster, like something out of a horror movie. Parker Schnabel, another gold miner, even lost 2 close friends in the tragedy. The whole community is in shock, heartbroken, and facing a massive cleanup. Even though Tony's main focus is his 9,000-ounce gold target, he's not the kind of guy to ignore people in trouble. It turns out that this colossal new excavator he just bought, the one that caused so much trouble to unload, isn't just for digging gold. Because it's so big and powerful, it's also exactly what's needed for heavy lifting and clearing wreckage to help with the rebuilding efforts in the devastated areas. Tony says straight up that helping people isn't just something they have to do, it's something they want to do. It's about being part of the community. So this expensive gold-digging machine has an even more important job to do first. A job helping people recover from this awful disaster. This puts even more pressure on getting it assembled and working, and fast. But assembling a machine this big is like putting together a giant, super complicated metal dinosaur. It doesn't just come ready to go. The next big challenge is getting the boom on. The boom is that huge arm part of the excavator that does all the digging. It's incredibly heavy, and it has to be lifted and carefully placed onto the main body of the excavator.
Mr. Beets, boom it in a bit.
Are you gonna dock or are you me?
Do it.
Your tracks, very carefully spin this way, please.
Tony is there, overseeing everything, super focused. He knows that any mistake now could cause huge delays for his gold mining season, which means losing money and not hitting that 9,000-ounce target. He's worried about the tracks on the excavator slipping while they're trying to move these heavy parts around. That could be a disaster. So they have to come up with a really smart plan. The team decides they need to swing the excavator's cab 90 degrees again, just like when they were unloading it, to get the balance just right for lifting these massive components. Tony's goal is clear: 9,000 ounces of gold, and this new excavator is the key. But first, it has to be built, and it has to be built right. The lifting operation begins. You can hear the crew shouting instructions, the clang of metal, the roar of other machines helping out. Everyone has to be super careful. These parts weigh tons, and people are working all around each other. Safety is the #1 thing. One of the crew members, Monica, Tony's daughter, is often right in the thick of it, operating machinery with amazing skill. She has to carefully, precisely maneuver the massive boom inch by inch, guiding it into the exact right spot to be connected to the excavator. It's a high-pressure job. Communication between everyone is vital. One person shouts a warning, another guides the lift. It's a slow, nerve-wracking process. Every move is calculated. As they lift the giant boom, slowly swinging it towards the excavator body, everyone is watching, hoping it all lines up perfectly. The fate of Tony's huge gamble, that 9,000-ounce target, and even some of the urgent rebuilding work for the community, depends on getting this monster machine put together safely and quickly. The Klondike winter isn't waiting for anyone, and the clock is always ticking. Getting that giant boom in place wasn't the end. It was just the start of the hardest part. Imagine this. The excavator's body is like a huge dino skeleton. The boom? That's the neck and head. Now they had to hook up all the muscles and nerves, big, strong hoses that carry oil to make it move, and tons of wires that tell it what to do.
No use playing around. Like if you're gonna step it up, you might as well step it up good. Now we're gonna go run it up the mill, and we'll test it. Okay, run it up, Mike.
Each hose had to be tight. Each wire had to be right. One small mistake could mean big trouble. Oil could spill everywhere. The machine might not start, or worse, it could break something or hurt someone. And they were doing all this in the freezing cold Yukon, where your fingers go numb and metal feels like ice. But Tony's crew is tough. They didn't stop. They worked through the cold, day and night, putting every piece together with care. Monica, Kevin, Mike, and the rest of the Beets crew were all in. They moved fast, but checked everything twice. Tony was like the general of an army, guiding every move. He's worked with big machines forever. But this one, the Model 9500, it was the biggest beast they'd ever handled. And when they finished, wow, that excavator was a real monster. Its tracks were taller than a grown man. The bucket, huge, big enough to hold a small car. When they turned on its engine, the sound was so loud it probably echoed across the valley. It was powerful. This machine could dig faster, deeper, and better than anything Tony had before. It had special bucket teeth made to cut through frozen dirt, what they call permafrost. That ground stays hard like concrete all year. Only the strongest machines can break it. Mining in the Klondike is no joke. The cold is one problem, the land is another. This is the same place where people rushed for gold back in the 1800s. It was hard then. It's still hard now. The season to dig is short, maybe only 120 days before the winter comes back and shuts everything down. That's why a machine like this is so important. If Tony wants to hit his goal of 9,000 ounces of gold, he needs every single minute to count. And don't forget the landslide. This machine wasn't just for gold. It could help the town of Haines too. It was strong enough to lift logs, move rocks, and clean up the damage. Things that would take weeks with smaller machines could now be done in days.
You're looking at 7-8 buckets with anything else. So if we're gonna reach our 9,000 ounce goal this year, I think this is gonna play a key role in it.
So when Tony looked at that massive $1.4 million machine, he didn't just see a gold digger. He saw something that could help people. Now the stakes were higher than ever. The machine was ready, the ground was frozen, waiting. The town needed help. The 9,000 ounce goal was still ahead. The real fight was about to begin. With the colossal 1.4 million excavator finally assembled, a mechanical titan forged through weeks of backbreaking work, late nights, and the unshakable willpower of the Beets family. The true test was only just beginning. This wasn't just the debut of a powerful new machine. This was the ignition key to a bold new season built around a towering 9,000 ounce gold target, an amount that would bring in more than $20 million at today's gold prices. It was the kind of goal that makes other mining crews sweat, but for Tony Beets, this was standard ambition. Where others scale their dreams to what seems reasonable, Tony expands his to what seems impossible. That's what earned him the title, King of the Klondike. Many casual viewers might not realize just how big Tony plays. While crews like Parker Schnabel's or Rick Ness's may set seasonal targets around 3,000 to 5,000 ounces, Tony often sets his sights 2 to 3 times higher. His operation isn't just mining, it's industry. A full-scale gold extraction empire complete with multiple wash plants, historic dredges, and now the most powerful excavator his crew has ever operated. The Yukon air that day was cold and sharp, a biting reminder that time is never on a miner's side. One of the harsh truths Gold Rush constantly drives home is the limited season in the Klondike. Between spring thaw and the deep freeze of late fall, miners get maybe 120 to 150 days to dig, haul, wash, and weigh. That window closes fast, and any breakdown, delay, or early snowfall can crush a season's dreams.
What I'm doing is I'm prying out solid frost. Feels that frost right out of there. I used to do this.
Tony knew this better than anyone. And now, with the pressure of a massive investment in a gold target that could make or break their season, every hour mattered. Monica Beets, a seasoned operator in her own right, climbed into the cab of the newly assembled excavator like she was stepping onto a battlefield. While some might see a giant machine, she saw purpose, an extension of their family's legacy. Her hands, steady and experienced, guided the boom and bucket with precision most couldn't match. Kevin Beets, Tony's son and a top-tier mechanic, remained nearby with eyes locked on the excavator's hydraulics and computer systems. He knew the quirks of heavy machines better than most people know their own cars. Mike, Tony's other son, and the rest of the Beets crew stood at the ready, waiting to tackle whatever problem the cold, hard ground or the machine threw at them. Their target? The Indian River claim. This was one of Tony's most productive pieces of land, rich in history and gold. But it was also rich in permafrost, a miner's nightmare. While the show occasionally mentions it, the real nature of permafrost is more brutal than television can capture. It's not just cold soil, it's thousands of years of frozen clay, gravel, and rocks, compressed into a material tougher than concrete. Digging it takes serious firepower. That's where the new excavator came in. With reinforced steel teeth and hydraulics strong enough to twist steel if misused, this beast was made to do one thing: rip the ancient Klondike ground wide open. Monica lowered the bucket for the first real test. The steel teeth met the permafrost with a metallic crack, like bone on stone. The machine groaned under the resistance, its engine howling in defiance. Then, finally, it broke through. Giant chunks of frozen pay dirt peeled up like layers of prehistoric armor. In that moment, it was clear. The gamble was paying off. This is the essence of placer mining, the method at the heart of Gold Rush. The miners aren't tunneling into rock for veins of gold. They're digging up ancient riverbeds where gold flakes and nuggets settled millions of years ago.
It's nice to see these new drivers available to keep up, bringing the pay in and to work with Megan. I mean, that's what it takes, is teamwork that gets it on the go. So yeah, no, they did pretty good.
To get there, they must strip overburden, remove meters of useless dirt and permafrost until the real prize is exposed: gold-bearing gravel. With each scoop, Monica fed the growing stockpile that would soon head to the wash plant. While Gold Rush often shows the wash plant action, what fans may not know is that Tony's operation also leans on something most other miners have long abandoned: dredges. Floating mining factories from a bygone era, Tony has not only operated them, he's restored them. Machines once dismissed as obsolete are now central to his long-term strategy. Though the new excavator wouldn't directly feed a dredge, it would prepare the terrain and accelerate the stripping process so dredges and wash plants alike could work at full capacity. But the Klondike doesn't roll over easily. Hours into the operation, problems emerged. Hydraulic fluid thickened in the cold. Steel joints began creaking under the stress. Even brand new equipment wasn't immune to the Yukon's bite. Kevin and the crew scrambled to monitor hoses and connectors, spraying antifreeze and tightening clamps. One missed leak could mean a full shutdown, hours if not days of lost gold production. Tony barked orders in his usual gravelly tone, his years in the field making him more wary than angry. He'd seen whole seasons derailed by one bad break. Every second of uptime mattered now. Every scoop Monica pulled from the ground was either money in the bank or minutes off the clock. Adding to the weight of the moment was the nearby town of Haines, recently ravaged by flooding. Though it wasn't in the immediate path of the Beets operation, there had been talks of using their new equipment to help with cleanup and land clearing. That's another side Gold Rush rarely highlights: the community spirit. Yes, the miners compete, but when disaster hits, there's an unspoken code. If you can help, you do. And with Tony's new machine, help might finally be possible once the gold was secured. By the end of the day, the pay dirt pile stood tall. The machine had performed. It hadn't been perfect, but it had proven its worth. The crew's faces, while tired, carried a look of cautious optimism. For now, the gamble was holding. But the real test, the only test that truly matters, was still to come. Because in the Klondike, it's not about how big your machine is. It's about how much gold it uncovers. And when that first batch of dirt hits the sluice and the mats are cleaned, when the gold trays start to fill, Tony will know if his $1.4 million bet was a stroke of genius or another costly lesson in the unforgiving North. So will Tony's mega machine get built in time to chase that gold and help the town? What other disasters await? Hit like, subscribe, and tell us if you think Tony's gamble will pay off.